Hey, hey, are you there?
What? What are you doing? You called me.
Let's do this, man. Come on.
Let's do it.
Welcome back to another episode on Between the Notes podcast. And today, fresh off of her Metropolitan Opera debut, we have the queen of the night herself, Rainelle Krause. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we sort of caught your attention. What was that? 10
I
years
think
ago?
she caught our attention.
Well, yeah, of course.
Right.
That's what I meant to say. You caught our attention when we saw a video of you singing the Queen of the Night in suspended in the air, upside down.
Up on silks.
I wasn't even familiar with what silks were or how people did these things. And Brian was like, dude, you have to see this. Check this out. I was like, who is this? This is amazing.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about how you got into singing, how you got into aerial stunts in the silks, all the things.
Yeah, it was a weird journey. Neither of my parents were particularly musical. I had some extended family that was kind of musical, but nobody was in the classical industry. Nobody was doing that thing. But my parents were always really supportive. And so they got me into piano lessons as a kid, and I just kind of took off. I was always singing along with myself and sort of just really musically inclined.
Awesome.
And that was sort of my exposure to classical music too, which I fell in love with at an early age, but much to the chagrin of my parents. But was not always their favorite. They're very proud of me, but
Sure.
they raised me on classic rock. Like they don't know.
Sure.
I remember meeting them in New Orleans. They're so sweet.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it was great because even though they knew nothing about the operatic world, they really were very supportive of my not
Yeah.
only studying as a kid and a teenager, but going to school for it, which, not everyone has.
Well,
Sure.
you know what's so funny is like I'm just realizing right now we're doing all these episodes with IU alums. Like I know
Yeah.
Rainelle, you're from Bloomington. You went
Yeah.
to IU. Like anyway, I just realized that because I was like, oh yeah, where'd you go? Oh yeah, of course, IU. There you go.
It's my
It's a small
evil
world.
plan. It's my
It's-
evil plan.
So I went to IU. I did undergrad and grad school there, which helped out because I got in-state tuition and I had scholarships, and
Sweet.
that was a major deciding factor. In addition to the teacher that I wanted to study with, it was like, well, how do I realistically kind of go about this?
Right.
And who did you work with at IU?
I took with Tim Noble for a year, my senior
yeah.
year of high school, and then when I was at IU, I was in Andreas Pulameno's studio.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Okay. We just crossed paths. Like my last year at IU was Tim Noble's first year, and then after I left, Andreas Pulamenos came, so I never really got to know him much. But
And
But
I
yeah.
have Tim Noble's old studio. So there you
Oh,
go.
wow.
No
I'm
way!
presently sitting in it right now. Yes.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
amazing.
Yay.
No,
Oh, great.
well, let's say this. Not his old studio.
Oh, that's true because
Okay,
the
no,
East Studio
the new
building is
old
only
studio.
10 years old.
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
he used to be in the round building. Yeah.
Right.
Yes,
Fair enough.
that's when I was there.
Gotcha.
Right. Yeah, there was no East Studio building back
Yeah,
in the
I'm
day.
still learning the
No,
ropes,
no.
guys, you know.
Have you
Uh,
seen that East Studio building right now?
It's so nice. Yeah, they
Oh,
they
yeah.
tore down the crappy university apartments that used to be there and made that
Right.
amazing.
Is that what
yeah.
it was? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
so
it's
beautiful.
something. It's
Yeah,
really
Brian's
something.
office is gorgeous.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. So I went to IU and then I got out of school and started auditioning with very little success. And I kept getting auditions and I kept getting into competitions. I kept
Yeah.
getting good feedback from the industry and just nothing was really panning out. I mean, a few things here and there that I clawed my way into, but nothing was really going. And my husband and I had moved here to Fort Worth. And I remember in the summer of 2013,
Mm-hmm.
I did Opera Works in LA. And I met a number of people who became very influential sort of in my journey. One of them was Kate Conklin, who I still work with today.
Yeah.
And she's an Alexander coat. I mean, she kind of does everything, but
She
through
does,
an
yeah.
Alexander
I
lens.
follow her on one of the socials, probably
Mhm.
Facebook, maybe Instagram. But
Mhm.
she just seems like such a cool person.
She's amazing. It's
Yeah.
it's so funny. The way that I work now is that I go to I've got a teacher for my technique and for like the right sound and for what's going to be sustainable long term. You go to coaches for your style and your performance
Right.
practice and your this. That, I take all of it and I take it to Kate and I'm like, okay, this is what I want. I want it 3 times as easy. I want it to feel like a back massage. I want to be able to have access to this when I'm panicking on stage and everything's
Yeah.
going wrong. Like, how do I make this completely reliable and pleasurable?
Nice.
So,
Yeah. Amen.
That's
There you
amazing.
go.
which I mean, singing Queen is important. There's no time. There's just
Right.
no time. And it's such a head game anyway that if
Sure.
you have even a moment of like, huh, now it's in your instrument and now
Yep.
you have no time,
Right.
there you go. So, but no, I did opera works, and Kate was actually the one who came up to me in a class, and she was just like, "I think you ought to go take a silks class." And I was
Oh.
like, "I'm sorry, with this body, with what time, with why?" She goes,
Why do you just because you're so tall? I would guess, right?
No, that's actually not a great. It's actually not great. It's better to be like short. You got a better
Well, that's what I
mechanic.
was saying. Maybe that it would be harder because you're so tall. That
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
that because your upper body strength has to be so strong. I mean, we've watched you do it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
so
well,
cool.
feels like a lifetime ago now, but
Well, you're a busy girl now. You know what I mean? That's
right.
something you have to keep up. I would assume, like any physical, extremely physical
Well,
activity,
and
you gotta, you take a couple days off, you feel it, right?
and with age, like that's the
Right. Yeah.
bigger kicker. Like I have a collagen defect. I've got a connective tissue disorder.
Oh,
which-
I have a student who has it's called
Ehlers-Danlos, EDS.
EDS.
Yep.
That's what I was talking about, Weston.
he's a-
Okay.
EDS.
Yeah. Yeah.
How fascinating. She was a dancer and then had an injury because it was related to this. And now
Yep.
she's, whoa.
There's
Can
a
I put
lot
you
of
guys in
crossover.
contact?
There's a lot of crossover between, I have found, singers, particularly singers born into female bodies,
Okay.
and hypermobility and EDS.
Which our next episode is on hypermobility. How you
and
like that?
neurodivergency, which there's also a
Wow.
lot of in our field.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they're now starting to see a bunch of crossover with all of those presentations of those things, which is
Amazing.
a whole thing. But anyway, so Kate kind of half bullied me into going to my first silks class, and because she had sung with Cirque du Soleil for a few years, she was
Right.
connected, in the industry and stuff. And I went and fell in love the first day. I was like,
Mm,
this is amazing.
yeah.
And I'd been looking for something that was artistic and not necessarily related to the career. Because, you get out of grad school and you
Sure.
start coaching, you start working on your own, and you're making incremental progress,
Mhm.
which is important, and you want to keep doing it. But it was nice for me to have something that I could focus on that was full body and artistic and athletic, and I got to make like massive exponential progress every week, because that's what happens when you're a beginner at something, right? Like
Sure.
if you're going to have sort of some progress with it, when you're really in the beginning, you get this great exponential kind of like, oh my God, I'm doing new stuff every week and it's exciting and it's motivating.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that kind of carried me through for a while. I'd moved to Texas. I was trying to get into the music scene here, which was very difficult and very insular and
Yeah.
hard to get into. I didn't have a lot of contacts. I had my relationships from IU that I tried to keep up with, but with the way the industry is, it's
Sure.
rough out there for soprano.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, I tried singing upside down in the silks, and I thought, oh my God, this feels amazing. My instrument's fully lined up right away. I don't have to fight the soft palate. Gravity does it for me.
I know, right? That's a great idea.
Yeah, it's like if I didn't have to worry about passing out, I could do this all day. And
There's that.
and also, I'm a high coloratura, right? I've
Yeah.
never had to wonder about my voice type. It's always been very obvious.
Yeah.
And so I was like, look, my whole fach is like a little bit of a gimmick, not in a bad way, but in
Yeah.
a like, here's the showpiece kind of way. And I was like, I may
Right.
lean into that vibe, find something that I think has artistic integrity. Like I didn't want to just get up on the silks and sit in a split and sing and have that be the thing. I'm like, no, I really want to build
Yeah.
something and put something together.
Right.
And at that time, I didn't know anyone else was doing it. I thought I was a genius who'd come up with it. And,
As far as I'm concerned, you are.
yeah, well, but they were like,
I've never seen anybody else do it right now. Who are you talking about?
Marcy Richardson, for one. She'd
Oh,
been
yeah.
Marcy, another
Another
alum.
IU grad.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So-
yeah, she's awesome. Actually, I
No,
met up with her
there's
once in New
there's a
York for
couple of us
coffee.
out there doing it,
Yeah.
or had been. I've been injured quite a lot the past few years. So I've been talking to my doctors and in physical therapy and figuring out what can I do. Like,
Yeah.
the way that it's going, I really want to get back to it just because I love it. I don't know from a like performance
Sure. That's
sustainability
okay.
viability thing, but
Yeah.
just because I love it, I want to get back to it. So, but at the time, it really gave me something to focus on, something to build, and set me apart in an exciting way, not just for silks, right? Because like that, well, we put on that show in New Orleans, and it's like
Yeah.
there's a lot that goes into that for safety and for
Sure. Of
rigging and for
course.
all the considerations, all this kind of stuff. But also, I feel like it was a good signal to directors to be like, oh, she doesn't mind moving on stage.
Right.
Oh,
Oh,
she's
absolutely.
fairly athletic. Oh, okay, she can do, she can walk and chew gum at the same time, kind of.
Exactly.
So that was helpful, even if I didn't do a ton of like gigging with singing and stilts. It was a good marker in the industry at the time, in addition to continuing to grind it out. I mean, between grad school and when I signed with my first agent, that was 7 years of just
Right.
hitting the wall
Yeah.
continually. And the only reason I was able to do that is because I had an emotionally and financially supportive partner.
Yeah.
Like,
Totally.
that was a huge part of my ability to continue training, to pay
For
for
sure.
lessons, to
For
pay for
sure.
auditions, to like drop everything and go and, do that kind of stuff.
Such a great guy.
On so many
Absolutely.
occasions, I have looked at Christina and said, I just want to know. I just want you to know. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you because and in those early years when you're trying to piece things together, it's like when you don't have a supportive, emotionally supportive, but also financially supportive partner or a family that has money or something,
Or a
it's so
patron.
challenging.
And,
A patron or a donor or something.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, it's so hard to put that together.
yeah. And people do it. I mean, I have an immense amount of respect for my colleagues that I know who are working and have really ground it out by themselves.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I try to tell young singers today, I'm like, take a hard look at the people that you see succeeding. And, and I am in my own measure of like what I want to be doing. I consider myself successful.
Oh,
However,
yeah.
that comes with a set of building blocks and circumstances and luck and so many things that come together to kind of make it work.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For
Well, I mean,
sure.
not only does an overnight success take 10 to 15 years, there is a team of people behind each
Right?
one of us that is the reason for our success. I mean, yes, we might be the one in the spotlight and our work ethic and our perseverance, et cetera, keeps us there. But my gosh, if it weren't for the team surrounding, all of us, we'd never be there.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
It's very much it takes a village kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
We talk a lot about our team, of managers and teachers and coaches and partners, spouse, whatever, people who can be your ears and your sounding boards for different aspects of your life, because we tend, the teacher, as you were saying, is the specialist in the technique, and then the coach is the specialist in the style and the language. And then what would Kristen call what does she call herself? Like a life coach or a performance coach?
Kate Conklin.
Sorry, Kate.
She calls herself an elite performance coach because she doesn't
Yeah.
just work with singers. Like, she knows singing, but she works with
Right.
instrumentalists, she works with
Right.
conductors, she works with composers, she works with all kinds of art-minded and elite performance. Like, because that's,
Right.
well, like she's worked with aerialists, obviously. She's worked
Yep.
with the lead pantomime in O on Vegas for,
Love it.
it's like looking at not only, okay, yes, avoid injury, yes,
Yeah.
figure out how to make your body efficient, but also how do we use our bodies and our brains and the way that we're built in order to transcend what we even think we're able to do,
Mhm.
which is amazing because, it sort of makes rehearsal and practice and what so much of this career is that
Mhm.
time by yourself, going into a practice room and experimenting. And it makes it more of an experiment. Oh, if I input X, what sound Y comes out and how does it feel? And is that something that I think is sustainable? Is that
Mhm.
a good sound for in the theater? Is that a good sound for a recording? Is that a good sound for, if
Right.
that sound is good now, is that sound and that feeling gonna still be there 15 years from now? Or is this, can I
Sure.
make it a little more efficient? Can I make it a little easier? Can I make it,
Mhm.
Totally. Yeah.
Absolutely. So tell us, you just got back from New York, right? Like a little bit ago. This was
I
your
did.
debut
This is
for
my
the Met?
debut.
Yeah.
Yep, Met debut.
Awesome magic flute in the and that was with our good buddy Stephen White conducting, correct?
Yes. Oh, he was
Oh,
amazing.
he is
It-
Isn't he
amazing.
great? We
What
love
a
him.
fun-
One of our best episodes was when we had him on as a guest. We just had a blast.
Oh,
And
we
he
had
had
so
so
much
many
fun.
wonderful insights, about what.
he's such a singer's conductor. Like,
Oh
from-
yeah. Well,
from-
he used to be a singer.
Yeah, he's a baritone.
Yeah.
He has quite a beautiful voice. During COVID, he used to put stuff up of him singing leader all the time, and I was like,
Yeah.
Steven, are you kidding me right now? This sounds gorgeous.
Yeah, totally.
But he
Talk-
came from a musical family too, I think. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
That helps. Yeah.
What number of production of flute as a queen was this for you when you got to make your Met debut?
Number of production, I'm not sure, but I did attempt to tally the number of performances that I've done.
Yeah.
And it's dicey and weird because COVID happened and things were canceled, but then also we added a bunch of things later. It's all soup, right?
Right.
But in general, I think I've done close to 150 performances of Queen.
Amazing.
Wow.
That's great. What a
Like
feat.
in full production, not concert, not
Right,
whatever.
right. Wow. Well, and what an incredible collection to have under your belt before you step out onto that stage, you know.
Sure.
Oh, it was great. No, I mean, I really thought about this, and I thought about the way that I imagined my career going as a young singer, and which is not the way that it panned out at all.
Okay.
Talk about what did you think about what did you think it would be?
Oh, well, I went to Indiana University, and I studied.
Oh yes, of
I studied-
course. So we stepped
studied
from
with some
there
of the
onto the
professors of the world, and it was
Right.
very much so like, oh, well, yeah, you go to one of the best universities in the country, and you have all these connections, and you sing well, and so you'll do some apprenticeships, and then you'll bop around there and do apprenticeships for a few years, and
Right.
then you'll make your main stage debut, and then maybe you'll go to Germany, and it's like, and then there, blah, blah, career.
Right.
I was like,
Well,
great.
how are we supposed to know anything else, right? That's kind of the story people are told.
It's the story
that-
people have been told for decades now, and it's
Exactly.
out of date.
Right.
Yeah,
It
it's a little out of
totally
date.
is.
Yeah.
Totally, especially in this country at this time. It's just whoa. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yes,
completely
that was how
different.
I graduated at 23 with my master's.
Mhm.
Like, oh yeah, I'll be on the Met stage by like 28, easy.
Right.
Easy.
Cover opera news by,
Yeah,
30. Right.
That's
Done
the
and
way
done.
it goes. And that is not how it worked out. But it was really nice. I was thinking when I showed up for my first day of rehearsal as a main stage artist, and I was like, okay, I've been in this house before as a cover, so
Yeah.
people know who I am. I'm not
Right.
walking in cold. I have a number of colleagues that I have worked with in other productions that are with me here, so
Yeah.
I feel safe and I feel welcomed. The house was super welcoming, and being on the holiday flute too.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yes, everyone was there to make good art and to, be
Sure.
serious about it, but everyone was also kind of like, it's the holiday flute. Like, let's have some fun.
Right.
Our good buddy Ben Reisinger, I think, was one of your armored
Men, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Such
So
a fun
it was
guy.
good, and it was nice to walk on that stage having so much experience with Queen in so many different wild circumstances,
Right.
and to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that whatever comes out is going to be a trustworthy and professional sound,
Yeah.
Sure.
which ended up working to my advantage because I got really sick in the middle of my
Mm.
debut run,
Yeah.
Oh wow.
which was awful. Yeah, I ended up
Well,
having
the winter in New York is tough, man.
Dude, this was
It's
the worst
tricky.
flu season in like 5 years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was doing everything, that you're supposed to do.
True.
Hand washing constantly and neti potting twice a day and taking my immune boosters and sleeping and
Right.
all,
Did
these
you
things
have to
happen.
cancel anything?
I canceled 2. I canceled
Oh,
2
wow.
Yeah.
performances and 3 covers, which was a substantial chunk of my paycheck.
Sure.
Yeah. Of course.
But I sang 4 out of my 6 shows, and I
There
was
you
able
go.
to rally and sing my last one.
Perfect.
And it was really interesting having so much experience in my own body with Queen that
Mhm.
like my first 2 shows, I was on top of the world. Felt great, sounded great. I'm super happy. 3rd show, I'm getting sick,
Yeah.
but I can still sing. And,
Right.
let me alert anyone who's going to be within spitting distance of me and let me,
Right.
Mhm.
let people know what's going on and make sure that I adjust for my colleagues and do what I can to keep everyone safe. And then it just dropped into my chest. And so I hadn't
Yeah, and
canceled
then
a
you
show in
just-
6
yeah.
years. I hadn't
Yeah.
canceled a single show in 6 years. And I was like,
Wow.
well, today's the day.
It's the worst feeling I think I've ever. I mean, that's the worst part about the career. Well, maybe not the worst, but it's not fun.
No, not
When
fun at all.
you're sitting there on the couch and you're watching the clock, and it's like, oh yeah, 5 minutes to places, and I'm making a
Mhm.
big goose egg tonight. No money.
Yup.
Could have very easily made thousands of dollars to sing something I've sung thousands of times, but I can't do it today, and so therefore it doesn't matter.
Yep.
It's tough.
Exactly. It
It's
is.
tough, but it's just kind of part of it. Not for baritones.
Oh,
They
please.
Must
never
be
get
nice.
sick. The
Yeah,
music,
right. Yeah, right.
They sing like 3 notes above their speaking range all night, Rainelle. I mean, come on, let's be honest here.
Wow, guys. Getting thrown under the bus here.
We got to
But
give you a
there-
hard time.
But
No, I'm
therefore,
kidding.
we're expected that our diction is the best, right? Because
Mhm.
the majority of what we sing is in our speaking range. So
Oh, just
Yeah,
playing.
that
I'm just
diction is
playing.
real tough.
yeah.
Weston, have you ever had to cancel a show other than like having a broken or torn ACL or whatever it was?
Yeah, I tore my right quadricep tendon,
Quadricep tendon,
when I
yeah.
was singing Ford and Falstaff. God, that was
Oh my gosh!
13 years ago. My
All
God.
right. But you sang you got.
I
like,
actually sang the first 2 performances from a wheelchair
right.
with both of my feet out in front of me,
Oh my
and
God. Trooper.
yeah, so I did end up canceling. Obviously, I had to fly back to Houston to get my surgery done. We
Right.
finally found a surgeon that would take out of state workers' comp insurance, which was much more challenging than you would think.
Another aspect of the career that people don't necessarily think about, trying to
Right.
get medical care while you're on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My gosh, there's so
Talk
many
about-
little
yeah.
things about that, right? It's just like, I remember, I don't know who we had our prescriptions with before it was with CVS, but it's just like, and I mean, and of course, international is a whole other story, but like
Right.
just being able to like be wherever you are and have your prescriptions sent to you in an easy way. That's just,
Yeah.
there's all kinds of things like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
I remember,
right.
like, I went to see a laryngologist in Munich when I was singing there, and I got sick in like February when like everybody's sick. They were like, "Yeah, great, no problem. That'll be 800 euros, and we only take cash from foreigners." I was like,
Mm,
"Great,
cool.
that just took $1,000 for him to put the thing down my throat to say, yeah, you're a little bit swollen, but I think you're okay.
Yeah.
Thank you."
Thanks.
Thanks. Wow. So, well, anyway, canceling sucks, but let's get on with it. You had a huge triumph there. What are some things that you're looking forward to? If you can, tell us where they are. Tell us if it's more queens, or are you, kind of branching out. I've seen on social medias that you are. So tell us some of the exciting things you're looking forward to.
Yeah, that's a huge thing about it, right? I'm lucky enough to have stuff to look forward to in this industry at this
Yeah.
time. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. That alone is a huge thing that I'm thankful for. So yeah, I have a few things that are non-queen coming up.
Mhm.
I can't say where yet, but
That's
I'm
okay.
looking at maybe doing a Susanna in Figaro, which I think is going to be really sweet and
Oh,
really fun.
wow.
Have you sung Susanna before? Will this be your first?
Mm-mm. No,
Oh,
that'll be my
wow.
first. I did opera workshop at IU and did a few scenes.
Right.
but
Sure.
I mean, yeah, okay. So it's long, but geez,
It's
kind of a
long.
walk in the park compared to what you're used to living in the stratosphere, right?
yeah, so I'm looking forward to that because it'll give
That's
me
awesome.
a lot of wiggle room, right, to play more.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with character. I just did my first Lucia in Nashville last year, which went
Wonderful.
really well, and I loved. So I'm hoping that maybe some other people will let me have a crack at that somewhere.
Yeah.
I have a lot of queens coming up, which is fine by me.
Fine. Yeah, exactly.
I'm obsessed with
That's the
queen,
definition of a bread and butter roll. If you can sing it, great.
right? Well, and I'm still interested. That's the thing. If I were miserable about it, or if the voice wasn't feeling, if I was worried about it, like no, thank you. Life is too short to be worried
Yeah.
about queen.
Right.
But no, I've got those, and then I have a cover Serbinetta coming up that I'm excited to have an easy
Oh,
way to kind of
wow.
like dip
Cool.
my toe into the role in a very and I'm gonna be singing Naiad, so like great. So
Oh,
I get
sure.
Yeah.
I get main stage money, I get main stage kind of respect, as it were,
Mhm.
and experience, while also having a reason to learn Serbinetta, which
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a really hard time learning rep if it's not attached to a deadline.
Sure.
So
Yeah. Sure.
I either
mean,
make
yeah.
my own deadlines. I'll
Right.
I'll call up a coach and be like, "Hey, let's look at act 1 of this thing next week," and I'll get it learned. If I
I
don't
do the
do
same
that,
exact thing.
yeah, because there's no way I'm gonna get. I'll piddle around with it for a year and never
Right.
learn it, or
Right.
So it'll be
Sure. I
like,
mean,
yeah.
life, there's life too to be be lived. Come on.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
So yeah, do that. I'm looking forward to that kind of stuff. And yeah, just as of right now, a lot of trying to figure my body out again because like I've got these strings of injuries. I'm in pain a lot of the time. I'm on the
hmm
road,
Yeah.
8 to 10 months out of the year
Right.
generally. Uh, with that alone is
Would you
difficult
mind talking
every
just
day.
a little bit about the condition and the collagen and how that affects your voice and how you feel like it affects your everything, essentially everything that has to do with your singing, and how did you realize there might be something, and how did you get diagnosed? What's the test? I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah, yeah.
it's a new topic to Weston and I, and something we're really interested in. So anything you'd be willing to share, we'd love to
Oh yeah,
hear.
100%. Well, and it's the kind of thing that Ehlers-Danlos is often a diagnosis that like if you're into ballet or if you're into yoga or if you're into
hmm
gymnastics or if you can do a bunch of weird, gross party tricks with your joints as a kid,
Right.
people just go, oh, well, you're just hypermobile. And at least when I was a child, doctors, like that was the end of it, right? If you didn't have the vascular subtype of Ehlers-Danlos, or there's a bunch of different subtypes that can be very
Mm,
dangerous.
okay.
And so they kind of ignored the hypermobile one because they were like, well, you're not dying, which is true.
Fair
but
enough. Okay.
but it comes with a lot of pain and it comes with degeneration as you get older. Um,
Mm.
which, so I still remember some of my silks colleagues who were in their 40s, and I was doing silks in my 20s and they were like, oof, girl, you don't want to load onto your joint that way. Like that's going to come back and bite you in the ass. And I was like, oh, it feels fine. And now that I'm older, I'm like, it came back to bite me in the ass.
Right, right.
Uh, so, that kind of stuff happens. And just of the strain of life on the road, right? Like I'm
Yeah,
hauling around 3 to 6 months of luggage with me all the time. I'm
right.
up and down stairs all the time. Last summer, I got tendonitis in both of my quad tendons and couldn't walk for like a month and a half.
Oh
I was
Oh,
gosh,
like,
that sounds
okay. And
terrible.
I remember laying in my bed and desperately calling physical therapists and I'm trying to get imaging done. I'm trying to make sure I haven't torn anything. And I remember
Mhm.
laying there thinking like, how am I going to get through my season? How am I
Right.
going to walk through airports? How am I going to walk up the stairs to my apartment? What am I going to do? Um,
So did it just manifest itself in like extreme fatigue or
oh no, pain, a lot of pain and
just a lot of
injury.
pain?
And
Oh
mm,
then you start
gosh.
getting more and more joint injuries over time. So, the pain has always been there. And if you
Mhm.
don't live in, I don't know what somebody else's experience in their body feels like. And when you have
Right.
people telling you, oh, it's just growing pains. Oh, that's normal. Oh, and then you find out 15 years
Actually, it's
later.
not.
Mm,
Right.
okay.
wow.
So, that makes a difference. But at the same time, it's not all doom and gloom. I mean,
Right.
having this flexibility in my connective tissue is in your brain, connective tissue is in your guts, connective tissue is
Uh-huh.
in your eyeballs, connective tissue is
Right.
in the ligaments that hold the larynx up there. It's
Well, and
all
that's kind of what I was curious about, right? Like the idea that it has something to do with hypermobility. Okay, well that kind of sounds like it might not be that bad, but maybe
right.
it is. I don't know. You
Right.
tell me.
Hypermobility can be a great thing if you can figure out how to safely couch it in muscular support, right?
Oh,
Hmm.
Because
okay.
otherwise it's instability. So, like,
Right.
Right.
my shoulder will just fall out of the joint all the time. My ribs slip out of place
Are
all
you
the time.
serious right now?
Dude, I have sung so many shows with my rib heads slightly twisted out of
Oh
place,
my god.
and
Wow.
it hurts.
Wow.
It
I'm
hurts.
sure. It sounds like it hurts like a
Yeah.
Hmm.
But
Do you
but
think that it like gave you any like your extreme top, which you're known for? Do you think that that has a part of the hyper mobility thing that you can go higher than other people, or does that just happen to be your voice type and it really is no correlation?
I mean, that's hard to know, right? Because I
Yeah,
have the body I have, I have the instrument that I have, and
sure.
I do what I do with it. But and I didn't always have a super high top. In grad school, I
Oh,
topped out at an E. And I was like,
Hmm.
this E feels
oh,
great, but I have not like I can't get to an F or I can't do it
right,
reliably. Like
right.
and working with Kate Conklin back in 2013 was when I first started to be able to get a reliable F and figure
Mm,
out, oh, it's another passaggio. So it's
Hmm.
not gonna feel the
right,
same. And
right,
trying to figure out how do I not make it a pure whistle because I don't want it to be pure
right. It's
whistle.
got to, yeah,
Or what's the difference between whistle and
right.
non-whistle? What's the difference in the resonance? Like what quality of sound do I want? So I have a lot of play in my system, right? I have a lot of plasticity
Mm-hmm.
in my
Right.
system, which gives you a lot of options.
Mm-hmm.
However, that can be really difficult when
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're giving a teacher, okay, here's my 150 options. Which one?
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
one is the good one? Which one is the safe
Right.
one?
I talk
Right.
to my students all the time about like the ones that were, super gifted with like just a beautiful instrument, a natural instrument. And you're talking about something maybe not in any kind of extreme range. And it's like the problem is that you have probably 18 different or more options on how you can sing that note, whether you want
Yeah.
it to be turned over or not turned over or a little bit shaded towards this vowel or that vowel. And it's like, they all feel fine to me. I don't know. What should I do? And I felt like when I was going through graduate school, I was in that camp where I really didn't know what I was doing. I was
Yeah.
just kind of
Well,
blindly going like,
right.
well, I don't
Right.
know. It feels fine. Does that sound good? I don't know.
Right.
What am I supposed
And
to do?
and I find that's a huge gap too, right? Between student and artist.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
chasm.
yeah.
You get
Oh,
out of
yeah.
school and it's like, okay, well now I have a technique to do what?
Right.
What am I going to say with it? Why am I saying it? Why did I learn this rock solid technique for
Yeah.
what purpose? Because I feel like it's so difficult to maintain agency with your artistic vision or to even develop an artistic vision as a
Right.
singer because so much of our field is history and performance practice as it should be and has to be, right?
True.
Right.
Yeah.
But how do you weave your way through that to figure out who you are? Because at the end of the day, that is the only thing any of us have to sell. It's like at
Yeah.
a certain level in the career, everyone's good. Everyone's learning their music.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's a decent
Oh, yeah.
house.
Sure.
Like,
Sure.
at a certain, you get there and everyone's doing the thing. So the only
Mhm.
thing that's going to set you apart is not
Is
necessarily
you.
only how beautiful your voice is. Right. It's who are you and what are you saying? How are you
Right.
filtering this music through the experience of yourself and your thoughts and your life and your,
Mhm.
perspective? And how do you make that crystal clear to an audience, to a conductor, to a panel of adjudicators, to whoever,
To
so
the
that they
audience.
can't
Yeah. To
ignore it,
everybody. Critics.
right? It's
Yeah,
like,
for
if
sure.
they don't like it, that's fine. When I started making art that people didn't like, I thought, okay, now I'm really making art,
Right.
Yeah. Right.
because
Right.
You're
people,
challenging
people
people to
either
think.
they either really liked it or they really didn't, but no one felt kind of in the middle about it. And I was like,
Blase.
okay,
Yeah.
that's probably on the right track.
Totally. Can you talk a little bit about like what is the recipe for you that you go about trying to, you tackle on a new role, like you have the Susanna coming up. Like how do you go about finding yourself in a role and making sure that the art that you create is something that is, you know, 100% you?
Yeah. No, it took me a long time to figure out how to do that because I still remember for so many years I would answer the Uta Hagen 6 questions and
Sure.
I would do all I would really like laser in on my homework and I'd know every single word and I'd be up there really feeling everything, like basically hallucinating a scene around me, being like, all right, I am in it.
Right.
As we're
It's
all
like
And
told to do.
it was like
as we're all
VR
told to
before
do.
VR was,
Exactly,
right.
and then I would get this feedback of like, you look like a deer in the headlights. That sounded like a vocalese. Then I'm like, I'm up here literally killing myself with
Right.
emotion. What is
Right.
going on? And it took so many years to be like, it doesn't matter what I feel. It doesn't even really matter what I'm focusing on. I need to know all these. I
Right.
intellectually need to have all of this stuff
Mhm.
in my consciousness. But as long as I am present, it allows the audience to graft their feelings onto what I'm doing. And
Oh, I
that's
love
the name of
that.
the game.
I love
You
that.
know,
Well, and this is
I
the thing that I talk about all the time is that your job, our job as performers on stage is not to feel the emotions that these characters are experiencing.
no,
It's our job to make the
exhausted.
audience experience the emotions that's happening on stage.
Right. And still in there, there's plenty of wiggle room for figuring out who you are. So like one
Sure.
thing that I like to do, I mean, obviously the first thing I do is just read through the entire libretto and I usually get my score out and I'll pop on a video so I can like really see the whole thing and look at the score and see what's going on and start to piece together, okay, who is she? What decisions is she making? What forces
Right.
are present in her life? And then I do sort of like an Alexander thing. There's a book that I'm obsessed with called Onstage Synergy by Kathy Madden. She is brilliant, and I have incorporated her sort of way of building flow state into a reliable practice
Hmm.
through this. And so if I'm
That's
really
cool.
if I'm kind of fishing around and wondering, okay, how would I do this thing? I remember I had a real sort of aha moment with Queen. I was doing this exercise where I ask my head to gently coordinate on top of my spine. Very Alexander, right?
Yeah.
So ask my head to coordinate on top of my spine so my head can move and the rest of me can follow. And so I can speak these words and imagine that every other person who has ever spoken these words, like every other thought that someone has had speaking these words, any flavor of connotation that has ever existed can sort of
Mhm.
like bubble up through me, which
Cool.
really I think it's a, it's a way to get into your own subconscious, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like
Absolutely.
a fast way to do it. And I remember thinking, I was like, okay, what's it? Maybe blah, blah, blah. And I remember, like, and there was a particular flavor of that. I have been chosen by
Mm,
this grief that just hit me in a really particular way and colored the way that I have sung that phrase for the rest of my career.
I love it.
And so you can do that in the language that it was written in, and then I go back and I do it in English because you're going to feel differently about it if you
Sure.
do it in your native language.
Yeah.
Sure.
But it's a good way to sort of like remind yourself, okay, no emotion requires tension. Not even anger, not even the worst amounts of human grief. They
Hmm.
don't require bodily tension. You just fire
Mm.
hose it out. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
really
That is
allow.
so important
Oh yeah.
for our listeners to hear,
Yes.
especially performers and young singers. That is so incredible. Can you say that again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No human emotion requires tension. And a
Mm.
I
lot
will
of
say
times
that's the first time I've ever heard anyone say that.
Yeah.
that's straight from Kate, but it has saved my ass in that dialogue, the Queen dialogue, because the
Yeah.
dialogue is where it's really gonna get you before you go into the aria. How do
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
I get the bitterness and the anger and the terror and the fear and the how do I put that in my voice in a way
Yeah.
that's not gonna, shred me from the aria?
Right.
And I
Right.
make some scary sounds on stage in that dialogue because I have worked in. I don't have to fight this. I don't have to get
Mhm.
angry like this. I
Right.
can get angry like this.
Oh, I love that. Yes, absolutely.
And even though it makes that it'll put a growl into it or it'll put a sob into it because I'm not fighting it, it doesn't
It doesn't
wear.
hurt. Yeah.
Yeah.
It brings back to mind a couple of things. One thing I want to say, I want to give a shout out to Opus Opera right
Oh,
there.
there we go.
Hey,
This
yeah.
is
Those were
one
the
of
little
the
drink coins, right?
it's a little drink, poker chip, and because what you were talking about having all this stuff that's kind of in there, it reminded me of gumbo, right? Maybe I'm hungry, maybe it's time for dinner, but the idea is that you don't taste any of the individual ingredients in a gumbo, right? The whole point is you simmer everything together to where it kind of just takes the flavor of the vegetables and the seafood and the sausage and the everything, and then you put the rice in there. And so, like, although maybe certain things that you're working with in the back of your mind or with the work that you and Kate do, sometimes can be very tangible, like you were just saying, and it can sometimes just be like the Uta Hagen things where you're informed by the virtual reality, as it was, you put it, like, or as I put it, but you this hallucination of imagining yourself in the scene,
Right.
and then every reaction, everything you communicate, whether it's your eyes or your voice or your body language or any of these things, therefore have like they're grounded in, even if it's not reality, they're grounded in something that is like reality. So therefore there's a really sincere and organic reasoning for each of the choices that you make. And I think that this is breaking down, kind of acting as an opera singer
Yeah,
during
because
music.
because it's such a specific skill
Yeah,
set, right? I mean, I took a
right.
number of acting classes when I was in undergrad, and I'm very
Hmm.
glad I did. I got a
Yeah,
good grounding in what it is to act, but a lot of that stuff doesn't apply to us or has to
correct.
apply in a different way because we are constrained by time.
Right.
We have to be,
Right.
and we are constrained physically by what we are able to do and maintain primacy of the voice.
Yeah.
Even when I was doing silks,
Yeah.
my big thing was, look, I am never going to be as good of an aerialist as the people that I admire in the field of aerial arts,
Hmm.
but I can be the best singer I can be.
There you go.
I'm going to get up on the silks and I'm going to do good work. I'm going to have clean lines. I'm going to, put together thoughtful choreography, but my thing is that I have to keep primacy of the voice and I got to figure out a way to make that work. And
Yeah.
I've continued to do that through the career. I mean, it's fun. I do want to talk a little bit about this hallucination thing because that
Yeah.
actually it tripped me up because I am very literally minded.
Okay.
It to which like sounds really and in hindsight I'm like that was dumb of you. But like when people would say, "Oh, you should really see the scene," I was up there literally trying to see the scene, and it took working with people to be like, "No, girl, you you can ask yourself to coordinate." To
Right.
imagine the scene. And even that the difference in language of, okay,
Right.
I'm asking to coordinate to imagine the scene that I've done all of my homework on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a cue my body can follow. That's a cue my brain can follow. And it allows a self-organization to bubble up through you instead of let me micromanage every single aspect of what I'm doing and let me really try to show what's
Mm.
going on and how smart I am and how much homework I've done on this. And let me,
Yeah.
instead, what you need is an immersion that is so whole bodied and true, right? It is true that you are on
Yeah.
stage, that you are under lights, that you are in a costume, that you are at a job. And it's also true
Right.
that you're imagining the world of the opera and that you are making decisions with your character, with the other characters. How are you interact? Like all of this is happening at once. It's
Right.
very, multi-leveled. And so to keep that in mind and keep yourself psychologically and physically safe, not just yourself, but your colleagues too. I mean,
Yeah.
and this moves into the rehearsal room too. You can
Sure.
do wild things in rehearsal that you could
Right.
never put on a stage, but you can find the kernel of the emotion that you still want to carry to stage. Just figure out how you can make it safe and
Oh
replicable.
yeah. And if that kernel pops like a little bit too hot in rehearsal, it's safe. As
Right.
long as
Right.
I'm talking about emotionally and
Yeah, yeah.
psychologically more than vocally. We're not trying to shred anybody's chords here, but
No,
there have
please.
been lots of times where I've played, we've been playing scenes. I think in like Live Epsis to the End, the scenes between the father and the son. Well, the son doesn't know he's that Montfort is his father, and he hates Montfort because he's been the captor, but he raped Henri's mother, and Henri is the product of that, and he doesn't know it. Anyway, it just became like a very like gut wrenching kind of like, this character always wanted a father. Well, now he's got one, but it's the person who he hates the most. Well, how does that play? You
Yeah,
know what I
right.
mean? It's like, so anyway, the point, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but this idea, we're trying to, I think Weston and I are, and we're really, I think, doing this well, getting into the specifics of how lots of things that we've been told over the course of our training and and what we tell our students, we're getting even to a deeper kind of like more, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for here, but
Well,
just
how
a
do you put
better,
pen to paper? I mean,
yeah,
similar to
exactly.
what we were talking about, the importance of a young singer understanding the applicability of how a vocal exercise relates to repertoire.
Right.
Right? It's great that you can sing this exercise really well. Well, okay, so now why do you sound like garbage when you sing your art? It's like figure out
Right.
how to put all the good work that you're doing in the exercises into the rep. It's the same thing. It's like trying to understand how
Well,
we can
yeah.
bring it
Yeah.
to a performance.
I mean, I feel like, we've all studied with wonderful teachers, and not many of them have spent much time, at least I'll say, explaining what we just said, right? How the exercises can translate into. I mean, Stephen Smith is different because his exercises are all about translating into things. But sometimes I think it was hard to like, and that's not a thing against him. It's just that as a singer, learning how to, as you put it so well with the football analogy of like, trying to step into those little boxes and stuff like that. And that's kind of muscle memory training so that when you're in the game or the match, that just kicks in.
Right.
I think it's harder to do when we're talking about singing in Italian and French and German and Russian and Czech and whatever else you're singing, when
Or even your native
generally,
language, right?
even your English, exactly. When generally most teachers and people that I know do Italianate vowels. There are some that do like, okay, today we're singing in French, so we'll go oh or something like that. But for the most part, people are using, mi, re, la, all these solfege syllables actually that I found out in voice pedagogy. That's where I think a lot of this, the kind of the ideas of what people use in their exercises kind of stem from that. But anyway, getting back to, yeah, when you've got all these clusters of consonants in German and Czech and Russian and all this kind of stuff. It's tough, but I think it's a part of the process of becoming a singer. And Wes and I are both teaching, and I'm doing a lot more teaching. He's doing a lot of singing, but still teaching. And we're just kind of getting fascinated about these little gray, subtle differences of how we can just help make better singers, and quite frankly, streamline that. Because if for me or anybody, if you're in an institution where you've only got somebody for 2 years as a master's student, or even 1 or 2 as a performance diploma person, you want to try and give them as much as you can, as fast as you can.
Yeah. And by
So,
the way, Rainelle, I don't know if you teach, but you will make an excellent teacher one day if
oh,
you ever choose to
absolutely.
do that, because you are so well spoken, and I love the just the ease in which you explain very complex things.
Yeah.
Have you toyed around with that? Have you taught any?
A little bit. So I always said for years, I was like, oh God, I don't want to teach. I don't have the patience for it. I don't have the temper for it. It's
Yeah.
not my thing. And now, a few years on, I'm like, okay, maybe I could coach. Like maybe I could.
I was
I
about
think
to
that,
say,
Right.
you
you
definitely could dip your toe into it by coaching
yeah,
people
and
on
I'm thinking
things.
about it. I've been
Yeah.
asked to do a few master classes, so I'm kind
Yeah.
of dipping my toe in that way. And
Yeah.
I'm I've had a couple of colleagues when I'm on gig. Maybe colleagues of mine in the chorus will be like, "Hey, I also sing Queen. Can I like take an hour of your time?" And it's like, yeah, great.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
Awesome.
I
Yeah.
don't think I would trust myself enough to go look for an adjunct position and have to teach tenors. I don't know anything about tenors, but Queen.
Nobody knows anything
Well,
about
I
tenors. Everything I know about a tenor, you don't want to know. Just kidding, but I hear what you're saying. But no, I mean, just as Weston enumerated so well, the way that you have clearly thought about all these things, and again, back to the gumbo, you've got all of this knowledge kind of like distilled into a great gumbo of delicious knowledge that you can then just spoon out and put over some rice, and people can get that and be like, yeah, that makes sense to me. Because so often the lofty way that the voice is talked about is just really kind of confusing, if not
For
off-putting.
instance, right? Like we've
Yeah.
all heard oh, sing as though you're smelling a rose, right? That's the Garcia thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it
Yeah.
never clicked with me.
Sure.
Turns out, because I don't particularly like the smell of rose that much, but when I had,
well, there you go.
but you know what I do like? There's these dessert tamales at a restaurant in Fort Worth. There's
Uh-oh.
sourdough bread pudding. They've got this chocolate sauce and this vanilla cream sauce.
God.
If I am panicking on stage and everything is like, you've got the buildup of tension, you've got the
Yeah.
all this kind of stuff. If I just think about the smell of those, the whole inside of my instrument has reset itself back to factory settings
That is amazing.
quickly.
Okay,
Yeah.
Weston, road trip to Dallas for some.
Well,
what are
I'll
they
be
called?
singing in
Tamales?
Fort Worth. I'll be singing in Fort
Oh, that's
Worth
right.
for Butterfly. March. Let's see. I'm there March 18th through April 13th, something like that.
I will
Well,
be.
maybe I'll have to. Maybe I'll have
Yeah,
to come
I will
down.
be recovering from a major surgery, but if I am able to leave the house, then I will come see you.
Well,
I'll have
maybe
my
if you
truck.
can't,
I'll have my truck,
yeah,
and I'll
we'll come
bring
bring it.
you the
Deliver it.
tamales to the door.
Great.
Oh
Love
my
that.
gosh.
Before we wrap up, I did want to talk a little bit about the process of getting diagnosed with
Yeah.
Ehlers-Danlos.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sure.
sure.
Because just in case other singers are thinking that maybe they have this and maybe looking ahead to the future or running into issues that they have,
Yeah.
it's a diagnosis of exclusion. So it takes forever. And it
Okay.
often is not taken seriously until it starts being bad. I wish that
Mm,
weren't the case. That's the case with a lot of American medical systems, right?
Okay.
You can look at things before they're a serious problem, and then when they're a
Mhm.
serious problem, you have to deal with them. So
Right.
I ended up going to a geneticist because I just kept having these strings of injuries, right?
Uh-huh.
I tore both elbows when I was on the silks and didn't
Oh
know
my
I had
God.
torn them. I thought it was
Right.
tendonitis, and then they didn't heal. And I've got both my kneecaps got the tendonitis in them. I've had a shoulder that has been screwed up since 2024. Turns out it was a rotator cuff tear that no one diagnosed because I can move so well around it.
Oh
Wow.
wow.
But it was still painful and kept me out of the air. And I kept being like, it really hurts. Oh,
Yeah.
go to physical therapy, which I did for years. And I still had to really be insistent about take an image. And they were like, oh, you have a moderate tear in your rotator cuff. I'm like, okay,
Like,
well,
oh, maybe. Do you think that might be why
yeah,
it's so
glad-
painful?
right. Glad that we
Perhaps.
wasted a year and a half of my time and that I've been out of the
And
air.
money, but all this costs money.
And money and time, trying to cram it all in when I'm home.
Yeah.
Trying to deal with that, navigate that, horrendous. So and when you do get a diagnosis like this, it's sort of a double-edged sword, right? Because there's not really a cure and there's not really a straightforward treatment.
Okay.
It feels like everyone's kind of like swimming in the dark about it. So basically, if you think you have hypermobility, I highly recommend that you do not load onto your joints when they're locked out. And that goes for standing too. That goes for singing. If you're singing in heels, try to figure out, are you hyperextending through your low back? Are you hyperextending through your hips to make that pretty line and to allow yourself to
Right.
sing? I mean, I was just doing the Barry Kosky flute in Oslo last month, and I had this massive headpiece on. And due to the fact that I'm up against the wall in a certain way on the tiniest platform known to man, and like you got to be super still and
Yeah, I've seen
doing all
the
this kind of stuff. And it's like
pictures
my
of
neck
that.
is
Yeah.
still screwed up. My ribs are still out of place
Ugh.
Oh, wow.
because of the weight from that and the general, the musculature, the muscular activity of singing Queen. You know, and
Right.
I talked to, I have this osteopath here in Fort Worth that specializes in opera singers and ballet dancers. And I
Okay.
asked him, I said, hey, am I doing something wrong? Like that I have to keep coming back to you and I have to keep getting my bones put back into place and I have to keep like doing this stuff. And he was like, no, you're asking your body to do extraordinary things with a congenital connective tissue disorder. He's like, this is upkeep. This is maintenance. It's not that you're doing it wrong.
Wow.
You can always be more efficient. And I'm always striving for more efficiency and more ease and
Sure.
you know, as we all are, right? But
Yeah.
at a certain point
Sure.
too, you have to look at like what is physical upkeep in this career and what do I need to invest into that? And I have to
Yeah.
invest a lot in that if I'm going to be functional to do the work I want to do.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Well, you're
Well,
killing it,
yeah.
and it's
Absolutely.
amazing to sort of peel back the layers of the onion and to know that oftentimes you are required to sing through pain and all kinds of situations. What we see from the audience is a very polished, very confident,
Yeah.
very beautiful rendition of all the things that you sing. And I don't know where the Susanna will be, but I would love to see you sing Susanna. I think that'd be
Absolutely.
amazing.
Yes, please
But I need to feed this dog and
do it.
hop off. But thank you so much for being with us. I
Yeah.
wish you all the success and hope that we get to see each other in Fort Worth.
Yes, please. Absolutely. Thank you
Yeah,
so much. I appreciate it.
All right.
absolutely.
See
All
you
right, we'll
soon.
see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Yay, that was great, Rainelle. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Between the Notes. Make sure you hit that subscribe button.
And join us next week for more behind the scenes stories, laughs, and operatic gold coming your way.